Hello, my name is Saul Hill, and this is my project titled State of the Union. The project is made entirely out of shredded, altered, and modified American flags, recast as symbols of the fragile nature of our political situation at the moment. I didn't think of this project so much as desecrations of the flags, but as a courageous attempt to look unflinchingly at the perils of and the fragile nature of American democracy at the moment. We have become very divided in the country, which is something we all know, but we all speak to our own sort of echo chambers and ideological silos. We don't reach across the aisle and talk to each other as Americans anymore. Almost 10 years ago, we reached what I thought was at the time a very dangerous precedent, and that was a majority of Americans believed that the greatest threat to our country was not a foreign adversary, was not terrorism, was not climate change or the economy. It was members of the other political party. And now, 10 years later, in the last presidential election, 89.5% of American voters from both parties believed that if the other political candidate won the presidency, it would inflict lasting damage to the country. We've become so divided that we no longer believe that this is our country. We believe it's my country, my country, not your country. And this really has me worried. So I did this project in a way to try to focus the dangers and the perils of disunity, political disunity, and the fragile nature of American democracy at this time. I really tried to put my own political views aside and just address the situation and particular issues that divide us in a way that was non-denominational, non-specific, non-partisan. I hope that this project speaks to members of both sides of the aisle, and that we remember that we need to speak together. We need to speak with each other. We need to speak with people of different political viewpoints and respect and honor each other's opinions in order to find solutions. Because if we only talk to our own echo chambers and get incensed and angry at the other side all the time, we'll never work together and solve problems in the country. And if we don't do that, I fear for the future of our country. I titled the project State of the Union, and these are some of the pieces. One of the showpieces here is titled Our Country, Not My Country. And the title is very indicative of my thinking, because I wanted to basically say that the thinking of my country, that possession of mine, is problematic. We have to think together and work together and value each other to restore our country and put our democracy back together. If we work together, we can put things back together and have a unified whole again. It may not look the same. It might even look better, but we have to work together to do that. This piece down here is titled Caseload, and it's made out of 9mm bullet shells and cut and torn bits of American flag. All of the pieces in the show, save one or two, are made from actual destroyed, shredded, or altered American flags. Caseload was made of 20,835 bullet shells. And that number is very specific because that is the number of people that were killed by guns in the United States last year. So we have a piece that is referencing, the number of gun deaths in the United States. And, we all know that the United States has a very deep history with gun culture, but there is a certain human cost and social cost to the gun culture. So I'm not here to necessarily say it's right or wrong or anything about that. We just have to remember that this is the cost of that aspect of American society. And it needs to be talked about. The piece is priced at $1 per bullet shell, which is also to say $1 per human life. And it's my way of saying that I think that we value human life cheaply in this country. And so there's another aspect. Each piece has a kind of a conceptual element in the title, in the price, and in the sort of written dialogue about the piece. So there's layers to the works other than just the visual itself. This piece over here is titled, "I Am Better Than You," is on an American flag. It's difficult to see because it's been painted out white and then resined over, but you can just make out bits of the shape of the stars and the stripes in the flag if you look closely. And the rhinestones present the dollar and the phrase, "I am better than you." This is a way of sort of addressing the corrosive element of money in our political system and how the value of money in America obliterates the political process, obliterates the political values, and creates its own sort of system of values. So this is a piece basically addressing money in politics and the effect of the 0.01% of the 1% in this country, and their sort of over-inflated impact on our political process. This piece over here is titled "Absence of Civil Society," and it is a flag that's been painted black and resined, and the shredded bits of flag almost look like it's fallen off of the void. The idea and concern that I had is that, American democracy in general, relies on civil society. If we don't have civil society where we value and respect each other and talk to each other, we cannot have a functioning democracy. The black flag references a movement that is going on in the country right now where people are flying black American flags. It's so common now that you see them for sale on Amazon. And it seems to be, referencing throwback to old naval warfare where flying the black flag meant no quarter given. And it seems to be a message that certain Americans that may fall into the realm of militia thinking are prepared to do violence to their fellow citizens for, thinking the country should be the way they think it should be. It's something that really worries me that, if we don't pay attention to this and change this course, we may drift towards civil war. And I don't think anybody truly wants that. We have to remember that, democracy is a pluralistic society. It's based on the idea of valuing each other's opinions, talking them through, and coming up with solutions. That is why democracy has been an enduring and potent political force that revolutionized the world. Let's not forget that. This piece here is two sides. So you need to see the whole piece, you need to view it from both sides, but it addresses the issue of abortion, which is maybe, I would say without a doubt, the most divisive political issue in the country. And it's an issue that there's no way to see it from both sides. It's really an issue that you either see from one side or the other. So if you come around to the other side, the other word is stenciled. And you really only see life or choice in the shredded flag. This piece has, I think, 8 flags that have been shredded because I wanted the text to be obfuscated and also to not be visible or present from the other side. So it kind of gives a solid mass of deliberate shredding. It's concerned that I have that, of all of the issues, this one was the most difficult for me to address in a way that was not a bias approach. But given the intentions of my project, it was an issue that could not be avoided. And therefore I found it actually one of the most conceptually difficult pieces to figure out how to represent. hope it speaks to you. So this piece is titled State of the Union. It's sort of the namesake of the project, and it's made entirely out of shredded American flags and resin. It's a piece that, for me, it represents the kind of torn, deliberately destroyed fabric of our democracy. And, it's one of the ones that I started off with a very, I would say, pessimistic viewpoint. And as I worked on this project, I ended with a piece that I feel, the first piece, Our Country, Not My Country, is, I find a positive message, because that one is saying, if we work together, we can piece this thing back together. But this one is, it's so textural and thick that, it's layers and layers of material that, I don't know, in a way represents the tangle, the snarl that we find ourselves in. So it was my sort of warning concept. This piece over here is tufted wool made into an unwelcome mat. And it was sort of the topic of immigration and how we no longer stand as the beacon to, the world saying, give us your poor, your tired, and your huddled, unwanted masses. Now, we kind of present an unwelcome face, and that breaks my heart a little bit. We're all immigrants here, so this was my piece addressing that issue. This piece is titled, This Is Not Somewhere Else. It references a poem by Adrienne Rich, who's a fantastic, phenomenal political poet. The poem was, What Kinds of Times Are These? And here I juxtaposed it with the flag and cutouts of the word hoax over and over and over and over again on the top layer. And the bottom layer has a stanza from her poem, which is very difficult to read. And here I was thinking about how conspiracy theories and accusations of fake news and hoaxes, they cloud our ability to see the truth. The truth is right there in front of us, right? But it's difficult to see when there's so much noise of distrust and accusation around. So this piece, I wanted it to be difficult to read the poem, but possible. And so it's on 2 layers of a 1/2-inch piece of acrylic. The top layer is the flag with the cutouts of hoax, and the bottom layer is the flag with reversed color stripes and the line of the poem, which reads, This is not somewhere else, but here, our country, moving closer to its own truth and dread. Hopefully, we don't have to arrive at that dread. We can see the truth and stop it before we get there.